Thank you so much for being here, Ms. Pooja. Let's get started right away. So could you just introduce yourself and your work in the field of cyber safety?
So hi Samaira, and thank you for giving me this opportunity for being here and for being able to um, talk about cyber safety awareness, which is something so important. And I have been working in this domain for more than a decade now, ever since 2012. And in this journey, I've realized that cyber safety awareness is not just important, it is something which is very urgent nowadays. Because even as a cybercrime intervention officer with ISAC, I've realized how there are times when consequences of our online actions spill out of cyberspace and they mess up our real lives. So that is something that I really want to create awareness about, which, like I said, I've been doing for the last decade plus, not just through the medium of my workshops, but also through two books that I've published. My first book, called Be Safe in Cyberspace, was published in 2015. This is primarily for children. And the second one is called Bulletproof Your Child Online, which is a parent's guide. And this was published in 2022. So I've also got recognition from the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Other than that, I'm a certified cyber forensics expert with IFS. So, and of course, we'll discuss more about me, but more about cyber safety awareness as we take this conversation further.
You've all you've also obviously already touched about on why this is such an important issue, but do you want to just explain a little bit more about why this is such an important topic for teenagers specifically today?
Right. So, I'll also want to touch upon how, in the first place, did I foray into the domain of cyber safety awareness creation and, contributing my bit towards creating responsible digital citizens. So, like I said, my journey began in 2012, and this was actually a case of cyberbullying that I witnessed in my own life. Uh, and this was actually about a 14-year-old young, enthusiastic boy, a bright student, also an ace footballer. Somewhere, this was a time when Facebook was as popular as Instagram is among teens today. So, a lot of cyberbullying that this little boy was traumatized with at a young age of 14. And the worst part is, Samaira, this was not through strangers, but his own teammates, his so called friends. And now, all those cruel comments on Facebook was so harrowing and so traumatizing for him that they started impacting his real life to the extent that they broke his spirit and he quit the game he loved so much. And unfortunately, he also quit the game of life. Now, that loss was a turning point in my life. And that story of loss also became a mission of hope somewhere because I took a stand that I want to contribute my bit in ensuring that cyberspace is empowered with kindness instead of cruelty. And that's exactly the mission that I have been on for so many years now. So, like I said, it is not just important, but it is urgent that we create a cyberspace that makes teenagers and young netizens find their voice. They're able to feel confident about themselves, they're able to celebrate life, and they do not just survive online, but they thrive and they shine and use this space to their advantage rather than getting trapped in the net.
Thank you so much. I think it's honestly terrible to think that that people could do such cruel acts. But I think your message of hope is something that we can take as inspiration, even despite all of the terrible news that we've been hearing around lately. On that, what is the single most important thing that a teen should remember before hitting post on any social media or within the cyberspace?
Yeah. So I think the single most important thing that all of us need to remember is that there is no delete button on the internet. It is like putting up something on the school notice board and going back after a while to remove it. But until then, it's been read by a lot of people. It's also spread by word of mouth. Similarly, the moment you click and you post something online, things get visible to a vast, invisible audience. Also, they reach people sometimes whom you don't want it to reach. And last but the most important, like I said, it can never be deleted. So that's how things on the internet go viral. And like I said, sometimes consequences of our online actions spill out of cyberspace and they mess up real lives. So it's important that before you hit on the post button, just ask yourself three questions. Will I be comfortable if my parents, my teachers, my future professors, or employers view this post? Am I putting myself or my family at risk? And lastly, would I be okay if this post goes viral tomorrow? Because, that 2-second pause can sometimes save you from years of regret. Because what you share today becomes a part of your story tomorrow and it impacts your life, your future, everything.
What you've said makes a lot of sense. Obviously, your digital footprint is visible for everybody to see. So, what are some real world consequences you've seen when teenagers didn't pause before posting? And how can
Hmm.
we teach this lesson to teenagers without, just lecturing them and make them actually understand this?
Yeah. So that's a very beautiful thought, and that's exactly the narrative that I want to bring into students without creating fear, yet sensitizing them towards what can happen if cyber safety and some simple rules are not followed in the virtual space. So, talking about some real world experiences and case studies. So, as a cybercrime intervention officer, I do keep receiving a lot of cases day in and day out. Um, One of them was, I conducted a session on cyber safety awareness for senior students. I do not wish to name the school for confidentiality reasons, but as the session ended, suddenly I was approached by a 15-year-old girl and she was literally trembling. So finally we took her to the counselor's room, calmed her down and got into delving into why she was so nervous and so anxious. So what came out, Samaira, was that this girl, in all her good faith, had shared certain private pictures of herself with a 17-year-old boy whom she was in a relationship with. And based on that trust, a lot of photographs were exchanged between the two. Now, with time, now this boy, being 17, he was to fly abroad, had secured a seat in a university abroad. Now he started blackmailing her into doing things and also financial, extortion was happening because he was threatening her that I will make your pictures go viral. He wanted money probably to support his education, but in the process, this girl was being victimized. And worst of all, just clicking on that post button and sharing pictures of yourself in good faith, but later on that trust is breached and your pictures getting misused. So of course, we kind of counseled her, we reassured her, then we approached the boy through the school, a lot of, and of course, the government of India Cybercrime Intervention site. We were able to retrieve all those pictures and, finally resolve the issue per se. But again, I would come back to saying that just before clicking that pause button, the post button, you need to pause. Just think of what kind of consequences and repercussions this little click could have. Because once you send pictures or any kind of social media posts, you lose control. Then the receiver has control as to what can be done with those pictures or posts. So, just a little pause again, reiterating that.
Yeah. So in harrowing cases like this, of course, it's really important to not let them happen anyways. But sometimes it's not really clear to us, or we don't really have the awareness to do that. So
Mm.
while it's going on, are there any key signs or gut feelings that you should keep in mind? You should recognize even while it's happening, or just not let it reach the worst point that it can.
Yeah, so right. So now, if you're getting that intuition, you're getting that gut feeling that what I am doing may not be right, you just need to kind of close your eyes, think for a second, and listen to that inner voice, because it is like that GPS which is always guiding you towards what is right or wrong. And even with like a GPS, we take a wrong turn, and then from that point it starts guiding you. So it's important to just listen to that intuitive power that we have all been blessed with. um, and also that trusting one your own gut feeling, uh, to also thinking of the repercussions that it could have. So here I'll just share another case. This was again about befriending strangers. Sometimes just because we want those number of followers on Instagram, or we want likes and comments, there are times we end up, some students end up creating public accounts, or even if they are private accounts, there are times when they will start befriending strangers. So again, coming to a case study, this was a grade 8 13-year-old girl who was somewhere very low on self esteem. She thought she was fat and ugly, and she did not have very many friends in the real world. But like all of us have some of the unique or the other unique talent, this girl was very good at painting. So now, for her 13th birthday, she started pestering her parents to buy her a smartphone, a personal phone for herself. And the parents were reluctant, but finally they relented. And what this girl did was that she started clicking pictures of her artwork, of her paintings, and posted on a public account on Instagram. Now, one among the followers was this 19-year-old boy who started complimenting her on her artwork. And somewhere, this girl who was otherwise low on self esteem was getting approval, she was getting compliments. Soon, the conversation drifted from Instagram to WhatsApp. And now, on a Monday night, suddenly, the mother just randomly scrolled through this girl's phone and her WhatsApp account, and she comes across messages that have been exchanged with the 19-year-old boy. And this girl was willing to be picked up from outside the school gate at 8 on Wednesday morning. So we are on Monday night, and she's already made plans to go meet this complete stranger on Wednesday morning. Now, obviously, the mother confronted the daughter, reprimanded her, and next morning I get a call from school. So, besides counseling the girl, we also did a background check on who this 19-year-old boy was. And when we checked the IP address, and he'd also used VPN at certain places, we realized this was not a 19-year-old boy. This was a 49-year-old man sitting somewhere in the interiors of a village in Uttar Pradesh, and he was stalking 50 other such children. So again, when we were doing those counseling sessions, the girl definitely said that time and again, ma'am, I was getting that hunch that, this person whom I'm interacting with is asking too many questions. I was kind of, experiencing that knot in my stomach. But I kind of overlooked it and went on to, get more friendly, divulge more information. So these are times when we really need to, listen to our gut. Right.
Yeah, of course. I want to move on to, you've created a framework called SAFE. So that's SAFE. Could you walk
Yeah.
us through what it stands for and what it potentially means?
Yes. So we've already discussed so I've created an acronym here for SAFE, wherein S stands for say no to strangers, A stands for avoid location sharing, vacation plans, personal information. F stands for keeping your front camera and webcam covered when not in use. And E stands for enabling two-factor authentication. So we've already discussed the S part, wherein we realize, through this case study, I've highlighted how befriending strangers online can get you into a lot of trouble. And there have also been cases where young 8-year-olds who are playing games like Roblox, using the chat function within the game, makes them very vulnerable to adults who are actually online predators who are using these gaming platforms as hunting grounds. There's a lot of child pornography. There is also a lot of kidnapping and bullying happening on these gaming platforms. So again, a big message here. Please switch off any kind of chat functions in games, especially when they are multiplayer games. Coming to A, that is avoid sharing your vacation plans and any kind of personal information online. We've all heard of that little Red Riding Hood story, where she gave away all her information and got into a lot of trouble. So again, the internet, the World Wide Web is something like a jungle wherein you have a lot of big bad hungry wolves hiding behind this virtual screen, playing the fool and trying to bring harm to all of us little Red Riding Hoods. There have been instances where, children have posted their vacation plans, checked in, on Facebook and other social media platforms saying, here, hey, Paris, here I come. I'm at IGI airport. Now, it's like telling a stalker where to find you. It is like telling a thief that you are not home for the next 2 weeks. So the doors are open, come burgle my house. And these instances have actually happened in real life. Coming to the keeping the front camera and webcam covered when not in use. So a lot of new devices, like even my laptop here, it has a small shutter on top. I switch off the shutter and I'm able to cover the webcam. But I'm not asking you to buy new devices. It could be something as simple as just putting a sticky note on the back camera and the front camera of your phone, because again, a lot of webcam hacking is happening nowadays. So I've received cases wherein you receive a video call on WhatsApp from a complete stranger, and it happened to this high level corporate. He was the national head, Asia head actually, and his head office was in the US. 11 in the night, he receives a WhatsApp video call. And the moment he clicks on it, because his work-related phone calls would all happen at midnight or post that, and the moment he clicks that, an adult video starts playing in the background. He disconnected the call, but within 2 seconds, using AI, an entire video clip of him watching that adult content, it had been morphed, and he receives that video clip on WhatsApp saying that, with a threatening message that if you do not comply with our demands and transfer X amount of money in terms of bitcoins within the next 30 minutes, we are going to make this video of you go viral. And that we've already hacked into your WhatsApp, we've got access to your email contacts and, all that kind of thing. So, prevention is better than cure, that old age saying. So it's always best to keep your front cam, webcam covered when not in use. Do not receive any kind of calls from unknown numbers, especially if they are video calls. Also, ensuring that you're not clicking on any unknown links. Nowadays, we receive lot many messages saying you click on this link and you won a lottery or you're getting some kind of iPhone, iPad. Those kind of things keep coming. Now, the moment we click on these unknown links, there will be malware that will infect your system, and it is definitely a phishing scam that you get trapped into. And coming to ensuring two-factor authentication. So again, it is like if I have my house keys and if I have my cupboard keys, um, someone who has access to my house keys at least cannot break into my locker or my cupboard. So similarly, two-factor authentication is something that gives you a double wall of protection, wherein once you log into, or even with WhatsApp, you just activate the two-factor authentication. Then you're going to receive another OTP, or you need to put in another password so that you're able to access your account. I know it becomes a little inconvenient and a little time consuming, but believe me, it definitely secures your accounts, whether it is your email or your WhatsApp. So two-factor authentication is something that is very, very important to shield yourself from any kind of hacking and scams.
So I think the moral is that the minute you find anything suspicious, so like a spam call late at night or a text from the stranger, it's better to be safe than sorry. But I think your webcam and phishing and all of those stories have made me realize that a lot of us underestimate the extent to which hackers and malicious people can use tech to harm us. So what are some common myths you think that we, all believe about online privacy?
Yeah. So one myth is that private accounts means that no one can view my posts, or that even if I have two-factor authentication, my account cannot be hacked into. Another common myth that I see, especially with teens who are using Snapchat, they feel that they've set in that 2 second or 20-second timer, and the image is going to self-destruct. Now, what we often forget is that in an age where digital devices are, they are a part and parcel of our life, anybody having a multiple, having multiple devices. So if I receive a Snapchat image from a friend, um, I can use another device, another phone, to take a screenshot, and then I can misuse it. So even if if I use the same device, I know Snapchat makes you very comfortable as a user, saying that you're going to get a notification if the receiver takes a screenshot of your snap. But I can always use another device. So again, private accounts, one, anybody can take a screenshot. Two, it can also be hacked into. Coming to WhatsApp, one particular thing that I'd like to highlight here is that it is important that you, because a lot of WhatsApp hacking is happening nowadays, it's important that you go to your settings on WhatsApp and go to your privacy settings. And there, of course, you need to make sure that your profile photo and everything is visible only to your contacts. And the other thing is that you go to your account settings, and there, besides enabling two-factor authentication, you also need to go to your security notifications. And there you need to make sure that you kind of put in, one, you could put in passkeys, and two, you need to block your IP address from being visible to everyone. So this is something that is uh, important for your own security. And also, whenever an app or your phone sends you that message that you need to update your security settings, it's important that you update those settings, because every time apps are trying to create new firewalls, they are trying to create things that make your account more secure. If we do not update our settings, just for the thing that, okay, maybe it's going to slow down my system, let me not upgrade, or let me not update it, the thing is that you are making yourself more vulnerable to hacking. So that is another thing. Also, uh, having different passwords for different accounts. So just for the ease of remembering one password, we kind of have the same thing across all accounts. There again, you need to make sure that, again, your house keys and your car keys and your cupboard keys are different. So, and the traditional method of writing down your passwords in one place, pen and paper, is always more trusted than any password manager app. So that again is another thing. And like I said earlier, if we delete something, it's gone forever. Like you rightly mentioned, Samaira, digital footprints are something that are absolutely permanent. So unlike footprints in the sand where the waves just come and wash away everything, Footprints in the digital world are something that are permanent and they can never be deleted. And sometimes they can haunt you for life. So pause and post and keep in mind that there is no delete button on the internet.
So I completely agree with you. I think one of the most important things is to be very aware of the specific security and privacy options that different apps allow, because they do exist to help us. On that note, we've already talked quite a bit about prevention of digital harassment, but let's go into what we should do, even if, despite all of these preventions that we're taking, in the worst case scenario, something still happens to us. So you teach a method called IBR, that's ignore, block, and report. Can you just go into what it means and why
Yeah.
particularly you think it's effective?
Right. So, yes, ignore block report is something that I've realized is very, very effective because the first step of, a person sending you a nasty or a rude message, or like, we started with talking about the 14-year-old ace footballer who was receiving all kind of hurtful messages and posts on the school social media Facebook platform. Now, the first thing that he could have done, and that is what he actually did, was ignoring. But ignoring works sometimes. For example, one of my students, he was targeted on a school WhatsApp group. Uh, for they had some kind of a class discussion wherein he expressed his opinions, which did not go down well with the other classmates, and somewhere they started bullying him on that informal chat, WhatsApp chat. Now he contacted me and he said that, ma'am, they are sending a lot of rude and hurtful messages, and I'm really kind of getting perturbed to the extent that I want to get back to them. And I just said one thing. I said, if for a day you can just ignore those comments, because sometimes we are kind of fueling the fire in that bully by responding to texts. So sometimes it works, but sometimes response kind of backfires and it only fuels that fire. So if you want to douse that fire, sometimes completely ignoring might work, because by not reacting, you are kind of starving the bully of their power. You're taking away that power from them. But it doesn't always work. So it worked in this particular case because in another week or so, the bullies lost interest, and whatever class discussion they'd had, human memory again is very short lived. So the whole situation kind of just frizzled out because this victim, or survivor, should I say, did not fuel that fire. But in the case that I spoke earlier, the footballer, now ignoring those messages was not really working. So you need to go to step number 2, wherein you block the bullies. So simply blocking them out of your Instagram or whatever platform is being misused to bully, you block them out. If it could be a game or whatever, you stop playing with them. If that doesn't work either, then you need to go to step number 3, which is R for report. So reporting it. So as a teenager, somebody who is a minor below 18, it is always best to approach a trusted adult. It could be an older cousin, it could be your parents, it could be counselors in school, it could be an expert like me. Or better still, if we could have a cyber safety club within the school premises. So it's always like, I always tell parents that and teachers that children listen to children more than they listen to us adults. So if Samaira, I really appreciate the initiative that you have come up with. And we've done this in a lot of schools, like the Mothers International School. We have a Minette CSS club, wherein CSS stands for Cyber Safety and Security. Similarly, at the Alcor International School and many others, we've created cyber safety ambassadors. And just like you have your drama and theater clubs, similarly, we have cyber safety clubs in place. So, which is a club of the students, by the students, for the students. So cases like cyberbullying or any other kind of cybercrime can be nipped in the bud within the school premises through the Cyber Safety Club. And of course, like I said, we can always report it to the Government of India portal, which is called cybercrime.gov.in. And within minutes of lodging that complaint, but of course you need to keep evidence in the form of screenshots, and we need to upload. So as a teenager or as a minor, you will require a trusted adult to lodge the complaint on your behalf, and then you will have to give some kind of Aadhaar or ID proof along with the evidence. And the Government of India has made sure that complaints are resolved within 48 hours of being lodged. You will receive, an SMS on your registered number as well as on your email that your complaint has been filed, and then they will update you about, you can always track your complaint and see how it is progressing.
Yeah. So you talked about what the student did with the group chat, and how his first thought was about a revenge. What are some other common mistakes that you see teens making when trying to fix a cyberbullying situation on their own?
Yeah, so sometimes, things become so embarrassing, and we kind of uh, get so perturbed that we respond in anger. And the whole problem is that once you are angry, that action will have an equal and opposite reaction, and it'll escalate into a conflict, and it gives the bully a lot more control because you are operating from a space of anger and also emotional vulnerability. And that's exactly what the bully will encash on. uh, so of course, I am not advocating that you suffer in silence here. uh, but at the same time, responding in anger is also something that I've seen victims often do. The other common mistake is I've seen a very, common link between all the cases of cyberbullying specifically that I receive. The narrative of the victim is, it's all my fault. And it is exactly this narrative that I want to change, because it was not this boy's fault that he got bullied online or that he met with an accident in the football field. It was not the school's fault that they lost an ace footballer. It was definitely not the parents' fault that they lost their only child. So a common mistake and a very, what should I say, something that really does a lot of harm is that narrative when you think it is my fault that I am being bullied. So that's the first thing you need to drop. And always talking to a trusted adult or talking to even a friend or a peer who would understand and be empathetic. So that's silence is one fault that I rampantly see. But of course, it's like tightrope walking. You need to decide when to respond and when to kind of hold back. So, but one thing that never goes wrong is talking it out to someone, and someone who is a sounding board, and getting that steam out of you is so very important. Otherwise, I mean, if you don't vent out your feelings, it can actually uh, burst and lead to a lot more damage.
So you had earlier said, children listen to children more. And, now you've said that it's okay to even talk to a friend. I think that many teens want to support their friends who are being harassed, but they don't really know how. So if their friend comes to them and, they're telling them a story, they themselves are emotionally burdened, and they feel like, oh, my friend is going through this. What can I do to help them? So of course, one part about it is just, them being a sounding board and helping calm their friend. But what are some of the other ways in which they can help? Obviously, these differ from situation to situation, but just generally.
Yeah. So, when I am in the midst of a problem, I cannot see what actually needs to be done. So, as a survivor or a victim, they become totally blinded by a lot of embarrassment or sometimes anger, and there is a lot going on within uh, you as a person, as an emotionally vulnerable person. The moment you're able to rise above the problem and get a bird's eye view, then that is where you start seeing, okay, how do I disentangle this knot? So, as somebody who is a friend and who is not in the midst or at the vortex of the problem, as a well wisher, you can rise above and see where you can help your friend in disentangling the knot. So, you need to sit with them, um, give them that reassurance that they are not alone in that problem and you have their back. So, that little gesture can make a huge impact and it'll help your friend find their way out. Two, when you sit with them and you listen to the problem, whatever they are dealing with, it's important that you encourage action rather than letting them silently suffer. So help them take screenshots of the evidence. There the you're able to guide them whether to ignore or take action. Then you block and you help them report it. So just your presence can reassure them enough. Also distracting them from, I'm so sorry, distracting them from, that was a distraction though, distracting them from the core issue. Sometimes just going out for a walk, playing a game, spending some time together can just help rebuild their confidence. So that is the kind. In fact, in one of the schools, the junior children, and there, end of the session, I was having lunch with the counselor, and that's when this little girl comes and she says, "My friend wants to talk to you, but she is too scared to come up. So, ma'am, can I just share what she is going through?" And again, it was a case of some nasty, rude comments that were happening on a one-to-one basis in the class group also and otherwise. And it was leading to a lot of friction within the friend group. So sometimes friends turn against friends and friendships go sour, and small matters, especially when you have younger children who are much more impressionable, much more sensitive. Um, so just that little action wherein she supported a friend by coming and talking to me because the friend could not muster up the courage. And a small issue with just a little action, but that one gesture kind of made her friend's problem just vanish in thin air.
Yeah, I think that that's a wonderful note to end on. We should all try to support the people around us, especially our friends. And I think, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And I think that your thoughts really opened up some new ways to think about staying safe online, but also just let us know a little bit more about the reality of the cyberspace as it is. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Really, really interesting. And thank you for taking out the time.
Yeah. And one last thought as we close this session. The challenge is not lack of resources, it is lack of awareness. So I applaud you, Samaira, on helping me in my mission and contributing your bit, and together we can create a safer cyberspace for everyone. Thank you so much.
We applaud you too, ma'am, for everything that you've been doing for victims and for raising awareness. Thank you so much. This was really
Thank
great.
you. Bye-bye.